The first win of the 25-26 Prem season goes to none other than last season's champions in Liverpool. In a game that was absorbing, entertaining, end to end. The quality of finishing we saw throughout both teams today, it was just superb. And, if you're a fan of either club, you definitely felt like you invested wisely in getting tickets for this game tonight. But for neutrals that have been patiently waiting for the Prem to return. I mean, this game had everything you could ask for. Superb stuff. But in this review, so many big things to talk about, so many big talking points. But I want to get this point out of the way first, and that's talking about my personal player of the game today. And for me, that was Antoine Semenyo. I mean, what a performance from him. We saw some great performances. Hugo Ekitike in his debut. Mohamed Salah. I thought the Bournemouth defender, Ekitike, looked quite good. There are a lot of really strong performances and great ones today. But I think Semenyo, in terms of his all-round game, all-round effectiveness, moments he produced, and that equalising goal to get Bournemouth back in the game, it was world-class. And it makes me think to myself, Liverpool are doing the most to try and sign Isak to just like completely break this transfer market. But would it not make more sense for Liverpool potentially to make a move for Semenyo instead? Because his game perfectly complements everything that Arne Slot wants from his Liverpool players. I think Semenyo would be a great purchase that would really complement the squad even more. And I think a team as good as Liverpool suits a player as good as Antoine Semenyo. I could lazily say this guy was like the equivalent of Salah for Bournemouth today. So many great things to just notice in his game today. All the details, I like players where the ball sticks to them, Doesn't matter if they're under pressure, if they're kind of holding the ball off from a teammate, if they're in different zones on the field. As a fan, you can trust and rely upon them to get the basics right, keep that ball under control, and bring their teammates into the game. And he was doing that time and time again. But it wasn't just that. It was also like his problem-solving skills as well. Like, I just kept noticing how he was constantly using the outside of his stronger foot, just create all these like unique angles to just kind of, maneuver his man, evade the press. Was doing that time and time again. I thought the battle between himself and Kirkes really interesting, really absorbing, and really end to end as well. But I think some of the standout things from him today, the movement off the ball and the finishing as well. I mean, the movement was seen for the first goal he scored to make it 2-1. Superb blindside run down the right-hand side. Just perfect timing of when to, accelerate to get in front of that Liverpool defence. I think big credit goes to, I think that was Brooks, who, from that counter-attack where Szoboszlai tries to do a Ronaldo chop, easily intercepted, and then one pass, it was always going to be Brooks winning that race against Endo, who was playing on the right-hand side. But the quality that he showed to play a first-time low-driven pass across goal, this must have been like a training ground move. It was just too telepathic. And Semenyo found himself in front of the entire Liverpool back line, under pressure at the cup, and he slots that away from Alisson. And, okay, it's game on, right? Bournemouth, they might have more to them. Liverpool look like they're starting to fade out a little bit for some baffling reason. And then that big moment comes for the second goal. Another Liverpool dispossession in midfield. That's something to talk about later on for sure, because it's not the first time we saw what Palace did to get themselves back in the game during the Community Shields. But this was like the perfect dream counter-attacking situation that Iraola would have hoped for, right? Semenyo leading the charge. He's got options to the right of him and options to the left, and they're outmanning Liverpool's back line. Now, a decent player plays a pass to the right-hand side to just kind of quickly get rid of responsibility, right? A good player, when Semenyo cuts inside, would have played the pass his options down the left, right? But a great player uses the movement of his teammates to his advantage to fashion a shooting opportunity for himself. And the moment he cut inside, put his laces on top of the ball and just hit that bottom right corner away from Alisson, it was just completely world class. They have that composure under pressure. Not pressure of just getting his team back in the game, but pressure of not disappointing his teammates. That's a ballsy thing to do. But if you're a great player, that doesn't feel like you're using your balls at all. That is just you doing your job. And when Semenyo is producing things like this, yeah, I think for me, this guy is probably ready for the move to the next level. But if that doesn't come, I think this Bournemouth season could be perfect for him because he becomes a star man and he gets the accolades. He gets the attention. He's the team's talisman. And opportunities will definitely be there on the horizon for Semenyo if he keeps it up. But as I said, if you're a Liverpool fan and you're watching this, do you think Semenyo makes sense in your squad maybe more than Isak? Or are you just like thinking, nah, bro, if Isak's about, you get him. I don't care how the system works. You bring Isak in. Let me know how you're feeling about that one. But yeah, I had to get them out of the way. But yeah, today, man, we saw a lot of great moments, a lot of great goals. I just thought the opening 10 minutes was absorbing end to end. It really just like reflected what this game was about, right? And what the Premier League is about. Two intense teams off the ball. Two managers in Areola and Arne's slot who put in a lot of work on their team structure off the ball, running, work rate, and how to press. And it did make for a game in which, it was very 50-50. There was a lot of loose balls, a lot of second ball challenges. It wasn't easy to kind of just dominate possession because both teams were fighting to get the ball back. But I think the moment of luck came after the 30th minute from Hugo Ekitike. And listen, I'm a Chelsea fan, but there was 3 strikers I hope you'd sign this summer. It was Semenyo, Joao Pedro, Hugo Ekitike. Ekitike was probably my number 1. Pedro my number 2. Semenyo my number 3. But Ekitike, completely world class. And I think that goal he scored today typifies exactly what he said post-match. In the Bundesliga, I had a ton of space to play in. Lots of space to do what I want. In the Premier League, it's not like that. The tempo is a lot higher. The spaces are a lot tighter. So I had to adapt my game, as he said. And to adapt, I had to play more touch and go. I had to play more off the ball. And his first goal comes from the luck. No, not even the luck. The fortune he creates for himself with his intelligent movement. I mean, he drops deep to the left-hand side. It does a nice little layoff. Turns quickly, notices that there's literally a diagonal line of space open up where if he receives that pass again, he's going to try and push that ball away from Senesi. Of course, he's a great player. He sees that moment. He makes it happen from nothing. And he gets the luck because he was going to not make Senesi. But, by taking the defender out completely, he wasn't ready or expecting that type of move. Instead, it deflects off him into the path of Ekitike in the perfect position for the striker to just open his body up and just steer that away from Alisson. And that's how he makes it 1-0. Second half comes, and Liverpool are feeling that confidence. Maybe this is where the overconfidence was creeping in a little bit. But obviously, they're starting the first half, making it 2-0. Ekitike with probably the easiest assist we'll get this entire season. Easiest assist because Jack Poe, I mean, what a finish that was, right? Running inside, nice little body shift to just set himself up perfectly to just smash that ball past Petrovic, bottom right corner. And at that point, when I saw 2-0, I was like, this game is probably over, right? Because it feels like maybe Bournemouth... This is where you feel your legs. This is where the confidence goes a little bit. Like, you put in a good effort. It was a good performance, yeah? You had your moments on the counter-attack. You had your moments in wide areas, right? You defended your box quite decently. But this type of misfortune going against you from Ekitike's first goal, and this type of quality, it's beyond you, right? But this is where maybe Liverpool need to make improvements in their game. A part of me feels like they're just perfectly suited to more of a midfield 3 because it just allows for more defensive solidity. I think, as you notice against Crystal Palace as well, there are moments where the turnovers open up in the middle of the field. There's like a man less there now that used to be there last season. At the same time, they also have fullbacks pushing high and wide. I did notice that Frimpong would have more license, of course, to overlap. Why? Because it allows Mohamed Salah to play as the wide playmaker. I mean, for someone as complete as Salah, calling him a playmaker inside forward, it doesn't matter. He's a complete player. Those roles and systems just mean nothing when you're that complete, right? But it makes sense that if you want Salah to have more influence centrally, then you're going to have Frimpong providing the overlap, right? Which means that Kirkes played the more like Nuno Mendes role of just like becoming part of a back three at times, timing his overlaps instead of constantly providing them, right? It feels like they're going to have to really master when to trigger that, when to not be men short. And another thing I noticed is that the moment Endo came on, obviously you're asking for Bournemouth to play a lot of first-time balls in behind down the side, right? Obviously, because he doesn't have the pace to play there. You're going to get picked apart. Do they have enough options over us? You know, Simicast, Connor Bradley, fair enough. Is that enough? I'm not too sure. Because one thing at the moment is that Liverpool look quite susceptible to counter-attacks. And they're very easy ones. These are just like 1-2 passes in behind your line. The lines are too high, their positioning's too wide, and it's too far apart. And for teams like Bournemouth, teams that have pace out wide, teams that want to play direct, they're going to get picked off at times. And this happened twice now where they've conceded 2 goals. So that's definitely a detail that Arne Slot, of course, understands needs a lot more time. And naturally, I feel like these are the growing pains Liverpool are accepting when they're, you know, upgrading their team by signing your Florian Wirtz's, Ekitikes, and bringing in more players as well to improve the setup. So I can understand that if you're a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't maybe get too concerned, but it's definitely a detail that I think needs a bit more work than people even realize right now. So I'm really curious to see how that goes. One thing is, regardless of the structure of the ball, on the ball, Liverpool can play. Florian Wirtz, Prem debut. I have to say, this guy's weight of pass, it might sound a bit mad, but it reminds me a little bit of Iniesta, where like when he punches the ball, it's just like with Iniesta, the ball would just roll so aesthetically on the pitch, right? It would barely bounce or bubble. It was just like, if this was like the textbook pass you had to make, that coaches are telling you, this is what you're doing 10 out of 10. This is the only pass that Wirtz plays. A lot of like really inventive passes. There was that pass he played inside, which even, again, when players make passes I'm not expecting, that's how I know that you're like a real creative genius, right? And he just found like a lot of, interesting passing solutions to kind of create like overloads or efforts for Liverpool. Like there was that moment in the second half where Liverpool, I thought one of the nicest build-up plays in the game. It was like they were just slowly creeping into Bournemouth's half. And then all of a sudden you see Kirkes. So all of a sudden it's like Wirtz plays a ball back inside real quickly to the left. Kirkes comes out from nowhere, makes the overlap in behind. And Liverpool just kind of like nonchalantly creeped up the field to create this opportunity. The end product wasn't there in the end. I think it was like a poor shot from Jack Poe that ruined that move. But it was one of those moves that was like, maybe in a few months' time, that passing passage comes again. Teams are getting open up. And they made it look so nonchalant, so easy. And I think when you have guys like Wirtz in your team, these are the little advantages that you're getting for yourselves, right? So there was a lot of good football, a lot of great moments from both teams, but I did see a lot from Liverpool that was quite sexy at times, I have to say. And I guess that's why they're buying these types of players, because ultimately in this league, if you score more goals than the opposition, you're going to win games, right? So that was good to see. But of course, in the end, 2-2, subs get made. Of course, Wirtz ain't going to be completing his first Prem 90 minutes. I'm sure he's probably left the field a bit confused by the intensity. Nowhere near the same as the Bundesliga. Guys like Chiesa come on. Other subs come on the field. And you know what? In games like this, especially with clubs like Liverpool, it does feel like there's this like, I don't know. Is it like, sound a bit cheesy, man, but like this like divine spirit at times where it's like, the football gods kind of just says, you know what? Yeah, I'm sick and tired of this right now. Let me kind of spice things up. Let me kind of do what I'm supposed to do right now. And I don't know, Liverpool tends to be that type of club synonymous with the footballing goods, right? Chiesa, surprisingly, a guy who I thought would be out the door already, playing the pivotal part, making it 3-2. I thought the execution of that finish was superb because the ball's coming at him so fast that he has to kind of shift his entire body behind the ball out from nothing. Naturally, that means that you're not going to get any power behind your shot. But sometimes, if you just like have that acrobatic perfection, and I know I'm not saying this right, then the direction can do enough to just try and, get that ball into the back of the net. And he produced that. A bit of a howler from Winterburn and Jakita. I never really like when defenders come on the field to seal out games. I just feel like it disrupts the organization of a defense, right? It's like you are with your partner from the first minute. Another guy coming in, taking up a different space. It's no surprise that you see these like calamities that come from nowhere, especially when Bournemouth did really well defending those types of aerials and crosses inside the box. So that was pretty poor, but the finish was superb. And obviously, was this the goal of the game? I thought maybe I'm finding it hard. Is it Semenyo's equalizer for me or Salah's fourth goal? There was like a technical perfection behind what Salah did. Obviously, probably one of the best things about that Salah goal was just the run that he made. At his age, yeah, at that moment of the game, chasing down that lost ball, and then he brings that ball down beautifully, cushions it as if it's nothing. He's on this unfavored left-hand side. He's coming inside with his weaker foot, and then all of a sudden shifts his balance. Boom, accuracy over pure power, but more accuracy and control to blast that bottom right corner away from Petrovic. Now, from replays, I do have to say that Petrovic, man, your positioning was a bit mad. You're way too close to your near post. Salah's on his weaker foot. You basically gave him free space to take a shot. And he thought, why not? Well, what else can I do in this position? What can go wrong? I think Petrovic definitely plays a part in allowing Salah to get that goal, but it doesn't necessarily take away from the technical execution of Salah. He's such a complete player, all-round threat. I mean, the creativity, as he's got older now and matured, you just see this playmaking creativity into his game. The way he thinks, the way he probes, the type of decisions he makes on the field with his runs. Certain balls he plays in behind or over the top or 1-2s or how he comes inside. He's mastered the game, He's mastered the game completely. And it's crazy to think once upon a time he was struggling to get into a Chelsea team, which, listen, I can go into detail about how he wasn't really given opportunities. But listen, in the end, his God-given talent has shone through. And, of course, the best player in the Premier League gets his first goal of the new Prem season. And I have to say it's pretty fitting that Liverpool win, considering, the devastating news surrounding Diogo Jota. It still feels a bit surreal, to be fair. And I'd imagine the Liverpool players today, for sure, felt inspired to get this win for their former teammate. So I'd imagine this was a very emotional, impactful moment for them. So I'm not going to take that away. So there you guys have it. That's my thoughts and opinions on Liverpool's 4-2 win against Bournemouth. The Premier League is back with a bang, baby. And I hope you guys, subscribe to hear more of my thoughts and opinions on the Premier League this season. So love, my guys. See you later. Cool.